Okay, let's unpack this. You sent us this incredible stack of sources, a look into P.T. Barnum's Menagerie
Yeah.
from way back in 1888.
Yeah.
And what's cool is it's written specifically for little people.
That's what makes it so fascinating. We're not just reading a dry historical account. We're stepping into it through the eyes of these three children, Tom, Trixie, and Gay, guided by none other than Barnum himself. It's like getting a personal tour.
Exactly. Imagine being a kid in 1888, getting to walk through Barnum's legendary collection of animals with the showman himself.
Right.
So our mission for this deep dive is to join them on that tour, uncovering the, surprising facts, the funny moments, and just the general vibe captured in this text.
What can it tell us?
Yeah, about animals, about showmanship, and about how people saw the natural world back then.
It's like a time machine, really, stepping right into that world.
Absolutely. So picture it. You're walking in right alongside Tom, Trixie, and Gay, and the sheer unadulterated excitement is just palpable.
You can feel it in the writing.
The kids are practically glued to Mr. Barnum Trixie hugging his arm, Gay holding his hand tight, Tom just buzzing with so much eagerness he's almost tripping him up.
You can just feel that energy. It immediately sets the tone. This isn't just a quiet educational trip, it's an event.
Oh, totally. A spectacle, even just entering the door.
And Gay's perspective right from the get-go, it's just brilliant.
Isn't it? They see the zebra, and she doesn't just say, oh, stripes.
No, she sees it as knitted all in stripes.
Like it's made of garters.
Made of garters. What a completely unique, childlike way to describe an animal.
Right. It really captures that initial impression before you even know what it is.
And then the no. She looks at it and says, it looks like a wild bull in front.
But then it turns.
And suddenly she says it looks like a horse. This strange composite creature from her point of view.
Exactly. It highlights how alien some of these animals must have seemed compared to what they knew.
And speaking of things that might seem scary, the buffalo. It actually snorts right at Gay. Tom, of course, immediately jumps to, it wants to make a meal of baby.
Oh, kids. But Barnum explains, no, a man was just teasing it.
Okay.
But then Tom brings up hunting, which gives Barnum a chance to inject a bit of reality.
He does. Tom talks about hunting buffalo in their own country, and Barnum explains they're being rapidly exterminated.
Exterminated.
Oh.
Oof. And Tom asks what that means.
And Barnum is just blunt. Killed off.
Wow.
Tom actually prefers that term. It's a fascinating moment of hard truth woven into this children's book visit.
Right. It's not shying away from reality entirely. But Gay immediately brings the humor back, totally innocently asking,
Oh, what was it?
does a buffalo grow up out of a buffalo bug?
Slight chuckle sound.
Yeah.
A classic kid question. Everyone laughs, and Trixie makes a mental note to tell her mom that one.
So, moving on, they see some animals that Barnum groups together, almost like cousins. The reindeer, antelope, and moose.
An attempt to find commonality, make them a bit more understandable, maybe.
Could be. And Gay's back at it with the reindeer, calling the beautiful ones Santa Claus's ponies.
Connecting the exotic to a familiar, beloved figure that grounds it for the kids.
But the big excitement for Tom. Elephants. He's been waiting for them.
Ah, yes, the elephants.
And the source really emphasizes how surprisingly frisky these massive creatures could be.
Frisky meaning they were standing on each other's backs, they were trying to waltz.
Trying to waltz.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And two of them were even clumsily jumping over a bar after a lot of floundering and capering.
They were performing. Some were even dressed like clowns.
Right. And there's this great little moment where one rolls its eyes at Tom after Tom whispers to another kid to pull his front tail and hear him roar.
Huh. Did Tom do it?
No, apparently he backed away pretty quickly.
Smart kid.
A bit of audience interaction, intentional or not, it shows the level of performance and perhaps even perceived personality they attributed to these animals.
And this is the section where the famous Jumbo comes up, a tremendous elephant.
Described as big as 6 of these rolled into one. Ah, the Jumbo story. The book includes a specific, quite dramatic tale. He went to Canada, was tragically killed by a locomotive.
But not before wrapping his trunk around the baby elephant and flinging him to safety.
It's portrayed as incredibly heroic. Gay's reaction is simply, good Jumbo.
Ah.
But Trixie's is actually moved to tears. And Tom, bless his heart, immediately says, yes, baby, and that's the way we would jump for you in any danger.
They're internalizing the bravery. It's a powerful, emotional story included right there in the tour.
From the giants, they shift to birds. Trixie sees the ostriches, and she's apparently a little disappointed.
Disappointed. Why? Was she expecting Hat feathers.
Pretty much. She was looking for the long, droopy feathers she wore on her hat, not realizing where they came from.
That's actually hilarious. But then she sees the storks, and those she recognizes.
Yeah, she remembers her mother's screen has storks on it.
Right, and she sees how these real ones are resting on one foot, just like the embroidered ones.
A nice connection to something familiar at home, making the animal feel less foreign and more relatable.
Tom tries to look at the seabirds, albatross, penguin, auk, but the crowd is so thick he gets grumpy and gives up.
Ah, a little dose of the reality of a popular attraction. You can't always see everything perfectly.
And Barnum, smooth operator that he is, distracts him
Oh.
by promising to show him the fisherman that carries his basket under his chin.
The pelican, of course. And the book explains its pouch that basket is used to carry fish home to feed its young.
It's a fun visual way to explain an anatomical feature and its purpose.
Definitely. Next up, creatures of the water, or at least the way they're presented. And Tom immediately jumps in with a story about the whale.
Oh, the Jonah story. He tells Trixie, the whale swallowed a man once.
Oh, boy.
And Trixie's reaction is pure gold. Did this very whale swallow a man? And did you know the man?
A slight chuckle. She's immediately asking for the specifics, the direct connection, questioning the literal truth of the biblical story in relation to the animal right in front of her.
Tom fumbles a bit. Well, no, not exactly, but I knew of him.
Knew of him. Right.
And Trixie calls him out, saying it was as much as 50 years ago, and Jonah was a Bible man. She's not letting him get away with it.
Kids are sharp. They pick up on the tall tales quickly.
Trixie actually gets close to the whale and thinks it looks kind, but she's confused about whale bones.
Yeah. She thinks they're bones and should make the whale stiff.
Which is logical if you don't know.
Exactly. And this is another moment for a real scientific explanation. Barnum clarifies whalebone isn't bone at all, but this flexible stuff in its mouth used to strain food from the water.
A genuine piece of natural history explained simply.
That's fascinating. It really highlights the mix of storytelling and actual information in this book.
They see the shark next, described as mean-looking.
And there's that surprising detail.
Yeah.
It turns on its back to bite.
A memorable, slightly unsettling fact about sharks.
Yeah.
So Tom is still looking for something exciting, maybe even furious, and they head for the lions.
The king of beasts.
And the description of the lion is amazing, lying there with this regal air.
It's pure Barnum showmanship in the writing, describing the lion as if it's saying, behold and admire. Kings must be neither pushed nor hustled.
Totally. And even waving its paw to say, be gone.
Completely anthropomorphizing the animal to build the drama. Barnum, anticipating action, tells Trixie to come along, calling her Toodles.
Toodles.
Apparently. But Tom stays, hoping for a roar, and he's glad he does.
Why? What happens?
Because the keeper enters the cage, and that's when things get intense.
Okay.
The lions are hungry, the lioness and cubs are fed first, and the king gets absolutely furious, ready to tear the bars down.
Whoa.
The keeper fires a pistol, and the creature leaps into the air.
Wow, it's a highly dramatic scene, showcasing the perceived ferocity, the danger, and the keeper's control.
Definitely designed to be thrilling for the reader.
While all that was happening, Trixie was looking at the giraffes. And her take,
Let me guess, something funny.
she finds them funny-looking horses like ostriches in the neck.
Chuckles slightly. That's perfect. Her unique, slightly comical way of seeing the animal.
The book talks about how they naturally eat from high trees and rarely stoop low.
But a piece of sugar on the ground is too tempting.
Apparently so. And the description of how awkward it looks bending down is fantastic. It bends its head down between its forefeet, gobbles with a half glide.
Gobbled with a half glide. Oh, the imagery.
And everyone laughs. Tommy even jokes about what their mom would say if they ate like that.
It adds this layer of relatable, almost slapstick humor to the observation.
Okay, so in a corner, they find the primates. First, the baboon, described as so cross, it has no friends.
A lonely, grumpy primate, contrasted immediately with the bright-looking baby orangutan.
Which is always sure of a petting, highlighting the different personalities and how the audience reacts to them.
And then there's the gray old grandfather orangutan.
Yeah.
Barnum admits he can be very ugly, but then adds a little moral lesson right there. We must always be patient with old people. He's even smiling as he says it. Weaving in a life lesson alongside the animal observation. Very typical of the era's children's literature.
They see the happy family cage next.
Huh.
Less exciting than the lions, they say, but quite as interesting.
And it is interesting because it's animals you just wouldn't expect to see coexisting peacefully.
Right, like what?
Well, the book describes these specific interactions. Solemn owls just putting up with oranges being flung at them.
Okay.
A monkey actually pulling off Tom's cap.
No.
Yeah. And only giving it back for nuts. Also, a monkey rocking a guinea pig, pulling a rabbit's ear, tossing nuts at a squirrel. And get this. White mice and cats together.
Seriously.
And parrots seemingly loving the monkeys, which the source notes is a thing never heard of before.
That's incredible. A true menagerie marvel.
And the children are completely envious of their harmonious life, wishing they could give up quarreling with their siblings to join them.
It presents this almost utopian ideal of different species getting along, a direct contrast to human squabbles.
Wandering from the happy family, Tom spots something else and calls Trixie over to see a queer big pincushion.
Ah, the porcupine.
And its defense mechanism is classic, rolling into a ball and the thrusting out its quills, just as the book describes.
Gay wisely refuses to pet it.
I don't blame her.
She much prefers the chinchilla. She says it looks like a sister of my little muff.
Chuckles slightly. Another lovely, soft, relatable comparison, preferring the gentle over the prickly.
Tom, still wanting action, wants the kangaroo to do a high-running jump, but it refuses.
The animals don't always perform on command.
Yes, not. But Barnum uses this moment to explain. The mother kangaroo carries her babies in a pouch, like an opossum.
More facts, always weaving them in.
You can't have a menagerie without bears, right?
Definitely a staple.
And these bears, they dance to a fiddle.
The performing bear, of course. The book says they start slow but get faster, almost graceful. Even the baby bears are dancing.
And the detail about the old grizzly and polar bear watching from the side like old ladies at a ball is just fantastic imagery.
It really brings the scene to life. And the old grizzly even takes the fiddle at one point.
The bear plays the fiddle.
That's what it says. Then the bears march off to cool down.
The performance element is so strong with the bears. Trixie overhears ladies laughing about, the camels are coming.
Oh, the camel race. The book describes them as even more awkward than the dancing bears.
Gay observes their backs are all broken.
Oh, dear.
Which Tom immediately corrects. No, they were born all humps and bumps.
Chuckles slightly, clearing up Gay's interpretation. And then Gay mentions her mama has a camel shawl, connecting back to the familiar again.
Tom, meanwhile, is back to his exaggerated claims about camels.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
They can drink enough to last 100 years and cross the desert quicker than lightning.
100 years. Wow.
And Barnum, with gentle humor, tells him, don't stretch it, sir.
Good advice.
But Tom keeps going. It shows how the line between fact, tall tale, and showmanship is blurred, even in a child's understanding.
Moving to some of the animals, Gay finds potentially scary the snakes. The boa constrictor makes her shiver. She won't look after the first glance.
Understandable. But Tom and Trixie are into it.
Really?
Yeah, Trixie says she loves how they twist and wriggle and adds, nothing that is quiet frightens me.
An interesting line about her preference.
While Gay prefers the big green frogs.
Frogs are less threatening, I suppose.
She's making their sound. Kerchong. Kerchong.
Finding comfort and amusement in something familiar.
Tom shares a story about the beaver's log hut. Adding the funny little detail that its roof always leaks.
Injecting humor into information about animal architecture. Clever.
Some of the really large, heavy animals. The hippopotamus, Barnum points it out, saying its name is longer than you are yourself.
Chuckles. True enough for a kid.
Gay says it's not pretty and doesn't like it. Tom is even more blunt, calling it beastly ugly.
Ouch. Poor hippo.
The one-horned rhinoceros is next. Gay finds it frightful.
Understandable.
But Tom actually admires it, despite calling it beastly ugly, too. He knows it's wallopy skin.
Wallopy skin.
That's the word used. And Barnum gives a strange but relatable analogy for that heavy hide.
Okay.
It's like Trixie's upper skirt with a thinner skin underneath.
An upper skirt. Only Barnum.
Right. And Trixie, seeing the alligator, has this practical thought.
Let me guess. Shoes.
Slippers. She wishes its scaly skin could be made into slippers for her papa.
Again, taking the animal's appearance and imagining a practical, everyday use for it, it's very childlike.
What about something completely different from the exotic stuff? They find Gay trying to stroke a little yellow chicken.
A chicken, amidst all this.
Yeah. Which prompts Trixie to observe that this section, with the horses, cattle, pigs, and chickens, is like being in the country.
A real contrast to the lions and giraffes.
And for Tom, this barnyard scene is quite too tame.
Of course it is.
He's already moved on. talking to a squat Eskimo man.
Ah, the book includes human exhibits, too, described as having come from a faraway, cold country.
With his seal and walrus pets nearby.
And the source does note that the Eskimo and his pets don't like the crowd and noise.
A brief but important acknowledgement of the discomfort for the human exhibit in that setting.
Definitely.
Tom, still itching for that thrill, suddenly remembers he wanted to be half scared to death.
Oh!
And asks where the tigers are.
Chuckles slightly. Barnum's response is great. The tigers certainly would never forgive us if we forgot to present ourselves.
Very formal.
And he bows before the cage of the Royal Bengal tiger.
Who is apparently rubbing against the bars and marching angrily.
Oh, boy.
Trixie is instantly terrified, hugging them all, pleading to leave.
Barnum gives her the option to go, which is interesting.
Does she go?
No, she refuses to leave without them, her loyalty overriding her fear.
That's sweet. But her fear increases when she sees the beautiful, fierce-eyed leopard and the hyena with its horrible grin showing 3 rows of teeth.
Yikes. They really lean into the frightening aspects of these animals in the descriptions.
Tom, ever the brave one compared to Trixie, calls her a little deuce because Gay is actually enjoying it.
Showing those different reactions again, pure fear for Trixie, thrill and curiosity for Tom and Gay.
Right. Tom and Gay continue looking at the wolves, wildcats, and noting the dainty little red foxes.
Dainty. Even in the predators, they find different characteristics.
To soothe Trixie after the scary stuff, Barnum takes her to see the brilliant tropical birds.
Ah, a complete change of pace. Contrasting them with the little brown sparrow, he shows her the bright colors.
Great green parrots, gold and silver pheasants, white cockatoos, the flaming red flamingo.
Beautiful.
Trixie is wild with joy.
The visual spectacle of the birds working its magic, though she misses Gay and Tom and runs off looking for them.
Not even noticing, she passes near the tiger cage again in her excitement.
Wow, the joy overcoming the fear.
And the absolute highlight, the grand finale of the bird section, is the bird of paradise.
Oh, I bet that was stunning.
Described as the most beautiful thing they had ever imagined, with this incredible long train of plumage showing all the colors of the rainbow.
Gay wants to stay there all the rest of the day.
I can imagine. The ultimate moment of wonder.
But eventually the day has to end, right?
Right. Barnum checks his watch, saying it's time for his own birds to be in their nest.
Time for tired kids to head home as the sun goes down. Mama is watching. Gay wants her supper and bed.
But the menagerie has clearly made a deep impression on Gay's imagination.
How so?
She actually wakes up in the middle of the night laughing.
Laughing? What?
Because she had this fantastic, funny dream. The little Chinese dwarf was waltzing with the giraffe.
Oh my goodness.
Trixie has to shush her so she doesn't wake their mom.
What an image to end on. So we've just taken this walk right through Barnum's menagerie, seeing it entirely through the eyes of children, guided by the master showman himself.
And what a mix it was. The sheer wonder and excitement, the moments of genuine fear, but also surprisingly solid pieces of education. Understanding buffalo extermination, what whalebone actually is, how pelicans feed their young.
And woven through all of it, the pure entertainment and spectacle, the dancing bears, the antics in the happy family, the awkward giraffe, the dramatic lion display.
Yeah, it's this blend of perceived natural history, moral lessons, and pure showmanship.
Stepping into that world, what surprising details or moments really jumped out at you? Did anything challenge how you think about these animals, or even how entertainment and education were combined back then?
Well, it's interesting how this text, written for children over a century ago, presents exotic animals not just as biological specimens,
Right.
They're characters.
Exactly. Characters in stories, sources of simple moral guidance like be patient with old folks, value harmony, and subjects of almost mythical tales like Jumbo's sacrifice or Tom's Jonah story.
That blend of science, morality, storytelling, and spectacle is really striking, isn't it? What does that unique combination tell us about the relationship people, especially young people, had with the animal kingdom back then?
Yeah, and how different is that approach from how we introduce these concepts to kids' minds today? It gives you a lot to chew on.